Right, good morning, welcome back. Now, as the title says, the most destroyed wheel bearing I've ever seen. This drama with my mate's Harley rear wheel wasn't even going to be a video at all, wasn't going to bother with it. It started when I got a phone call from a buddy of mine saying, my bike's vibrating, it's making a weird noise and the back end's shaking all over the place, what could be wrong? That's where it began. So I told him, if you feel it's safe, nurse it home, you're only a few miles away, get it in your garage and I'll come and have a look. Went over there, had a look, pulled the belt off, lifted the back wheel up, gave it a wiggle, and this is what I found. Now, I've seen rear wheels move around like that when the bearing's breaking up quite a few times, but not nearly as much as that. And also, when you turn the wheel, it was grinding and crunching and making horrible noises as well. This was set to be one I'd never seen before. And true enough, as you can see from this shot, when I pulled the axle out simply to take the wheel out, all of the guts of the bearing just fell out all over the floor. The ball bearings rolled everywhere, bits of broken metal, laughter and lots of oh my gods. I'd never seen it that bad. Absolutely destroyed the bearing and broke it all to pieces. Now, as my buddy needs his bike back on the road, quick, sharp, and I'm engaged in the wonderful Goldwing build, I really wasn't going to make a video of this. I've done loads of wheel bearings before, it wasn't necessary, so I got the wheel here, brought it back in the car, slung some new bearings in it, a new spacer tube, because as I'll show you in a minute, it's really badly damaged the tube as well, and this was going to be a fix. Go over, put the wheel back in, get him back on the road. But when I got all the bearings out and all the debris out, I realised this was going to be a far longer job. Just take a look at the mess that I dragged out of the wheel. First of all, as you can see, there's half of the ball bearings there, and all that powdered debris you see there, I believe that is crushed and powdered bearings. And look at the spacer tube itself. See how horribly galled up that is on the end. The ball bearings have fallen out inside the wheel and then been running round between the wheel hub and the spacer tube, and they've ground that groove in it. It's an absolute mess. So I was left with the onerous task of removing from the wheel the outer part of the bearing cup, and you can't get a puller on that and take it out because it's too wide for a blind bearing puller. So I had to resort to a tungsten burr, as you can see here, and grind away at that outside bearing cup until it was weakened, and then hit it with a punch and a hammer, crack it, and then I can lift it out. So after about 3 or 4 hours, if you watch the Instagram page, I did post that up. It took nearly 4 hours to get that out carefully and not damage the hub at the same time. But finally, I got it out and the whole lot was ready for new bearings. Now, because of the state of the bearing that had broken up, you never replace just the one. You just don't do that in wheels. I got a pair of bearings, and because the damage that had been done to this spacer tube on the end, I got myself a new spacer tube as well. So I put the ABS bearing in the brake side, first of all, got a new one of those in, and then drop the new spacer in, identical in length to the old one, that's correct, and then put the final bearing in the top, press them all in, job done, ready to go. And it's at that point I hit a problem, a puzzling problem I've never personally had, but I do know can happen, and I know it can be catastrophic if you leave it like that and don't deal with it. And that problem is this. The spacer in between the bearings is rattling around and not tight in its location where it should be. Have a close look. There's a new spacer there. As you can see, it definitely shouldn't be that loose. That should be up against the bearing, and you should only be able to move it with gentle force. But it's got so much of a gap, I can get this seal pick in the gap. Look at that. You should definitely not be able to get a seal pick in the gap. That's far too much. Now, if you've never done this and you don't know what the consequences are of a spacer with side float, then I'll show you, because it's exactly what probably caused this bearing to break up in the first place. I think that was like that before. Let's have a look at the debris of the busted bearing. I'll show you what I think went wrong. Right, this is the debris that came out of the wheel. There's the outer cup that I had to grind away so I could crack it. There's the inner cup, and that groove is where all the ball bearings lived in the middle. There are 7 of the ball bearings. There were considerably more than that. I don't know where the rest have gone. Probably here. This metallic debris which is metallic, it is magnetic, so that's definitely the old bearings. And these bits of metal, these are all part of the bearing. Even that, this is all magnetic, so it's all steel. None of this is come from the hub. All that is the bearing. And here is the spacer. And you can see that these ball bearings, one of which here has been ground. Look at that. That bearing's been powdered on that half, ground flat, and they've been rolling here around the inside of the spacer tube once they fell out of the inside of the bearing. That's what's destroyed the inside of the spacer. So that's what the bearing damage was. And when I took the spacer out, I found all that damage on that end of the spacer, but if we turn the spacer over, it's got exactly the same damage almost on the other end. Check this out close up. The same groove where a ball bearing has run around the inside, so the same damage from a previous collapsed bearing, and all this linishing work here where someone's took a grinder or a file and they filed off the sharp edges, because this end is razor sharp and it's all got skid marks here from busted bits of bearing. So someone has had this before. This bearing spacer has had a bearing collapse on this end, and it's replaced the bearing and they just put that back in the other way up, and it's destroyed it again. And this bearing, this is the ABS bearing that was up against there, and it's undamaged. So there's no way that good bearing did any damage to that end today. That damage is from the past. This bike's done about 1,500 miles since my mate bought it. So did a previous owner have this issue, chuck a new bearing in, go, oh, that'll be all right, I'll chuck it in the bike, tighten it up, no one will know, it's not my problem now. And there it is, a few thousand miles down the line, that problem has reoccurred. And why does it happen? Why, if there's a gap in your centre spacer, why does it destroy the bearings? Right, take this little plastic cap, just as a prop, put the spacer on it, take the bearing, and we put the bearing neatly up against there. Then we take the other bearing the other side, and that must go there too. And the spacer touches the bearings, and that is how it's set up. And the wheel axle goes all the way through the middle of that. Now whilst all that is tight in one line, all blocked against each other, that's good, and that's as it should be. But if we introduce a gap here between the spacer and the bearing, so that the spacer's got a side float to it, then we get a problem when we put the axle through and the big nut on the end, and we torque it up to 140 Newton meters, and we put all that crushing force on the outside of the bearings, where this spacer is meant to resist that crushing force by being propped against it. So if there is a gap, you do the nut up, all that crushing force, then the inner ring of the bearing gets forced inwards to meet the spacer until that gap is closed. And that side force is damaging to the bearings. And that's what's happened here. A gap in the spacer previously has caused the centre of the bearing to be pushed inwards, stressed inwards under load, and because the ball bearings exist between that groove and the outer groove, they're put under pressure. Those ball bearings are being squeezed, and eventually they get hot and they break up and they turn into this powder all over the place, and the bearing itself just collapses, and what ball bearings are left start running round on the spacer itself. And that's okay, because you can buy a new spacer. But I believe what's happened here, what problem I've got with this wheel, why the new bearings won't press in firmly and trap the spacer, is possibly because the hub is damaged. And as the other end of this is damaged, exactly the same as that end, but the bearing is not, that's why I think this has happened before. And I've inherited the damage to the hub from the previous half-hearted job. Now, I don't like doing this, drawing a bearing out that's been fitted, but I've got no choice. I have to get it out to see what's going on in there. So in this case, needs must. Nice new one. Now, they should be 5¼ inches long according to specification, but quality control in sending out parts or that sort of thing, let's actually check if that is 5¼ inches long and that they have sent me indeed the right one. It's the same length as the old one, but it's the old one that caused this problem. So has this recurred? Have I got the wrong one again? Let's see if it's 5¼ inches long. we go. 5.246 inches long. That's 5 1/4. So to all intents and purposes, we know the spacer is correct and the old spacer length was correct, but I think I found the damage in the hub that I was suspecting, and maybe that's the reason. The ball bearing trapped in here, being minced round in against that spacer, has forced aluminium up the side here to make this big knobbly surface, and that's why the bearing won't go down quite far enough to seat and trap the spacer. Right, let me stir the old knife, and just as it's only aluminium swarf, it's coming off a bit. Just taking the worst off, and that looks a lot squarer and cleaner already. There's all jagged extra bits, not smooth metal. Right, that's got a lot of it out. All of that bubbly, wobbly swarf is gone. It's a lot smoother. And I've kind of found the foundation of the perch, which was quite a bit lower. I think it definitely was the problem. Now what I want to do is to clean that perch up as much as I can, very carefully indeed. I've got to be so careful here. I'm going to use a tungsten burr, but I really must be careful not to touch the bearing surface itself that actually holds the bearing. Just the corner, just the tip of a tungsten burr, just to clean off that perch a little bit better, get it absolutely smooth as possible, but really, really carefully so as not to damage the bearing surface. Now, I think you'll agree, that looks beautiful now. Much, much cleaner. That is definitely the original perch there. All of the chewy bird aluminium is off it. It's now nice and smooth and clean. An hour well spent. My next thing is to test it and see if it's worked. So drop the spacer in, drop the bearing in, and see if it jams the spacer as it should do. But I don't want to have to press it in and then pull the bearing out again, risking this brand new bearing more and more. Instead, I'm going to take this old bearing. This is the old ABS bearing which wasn't harmed, but we're not going to use it. So I'm going to grind the outside of that off gently on the stone so it just drops in and out so I can test fit it without any drama. Right, I'll say it once again. That is a scrap bearing. I've ground it down so I can just drop it in and lift it out with fingers and test if it is trapping the top of the spacer tube. Let's see. Right, spacer's in. Just drop that in. Yeah, that even sounded like it hit the spacer. And there we are. There's the spacer up against the inner ring of the bearing. Tight with no gap. It's absolutely solid. If I push it, it moves, but with resistance, which is absolutely correct. That is perfect. And also, the outer ring of this test bearing is touching the perch all the way around. So that is now absolutely flat and correct. The perch is in line with the top of the spacer, so the bearing is being held perfectly square under pressure when you wind up the wheel nut. Bang on. So now we just take that one out. And now I'll press the proper one back in and we're done. Spacer back in. There, absolutely perfect. No side float on that spacer whatsoever. It's touching both bearing centres, which means it will protect them from being forced inwards when you do the big nut up. Job done. just going to slot the axle through the hole for now so I can transport the wheel back to my mate. It'll all be greased properly when it goes back in the bike because we're doing brake pads as well. And wash up. Big nut. And the E-clip. Ready to go. Now, I know there's been a lot of chat today and I appreciate your patience, but I wanted to bring this video to you because personally, I learn from every one of my experiences. And with the wonders of YouTube and the internet, we can share our learning with each other so that we all learn from it. And today was a very valuable lesson. So if you're fitting new wheel bearings and the old ones are completely destroyed, always check the hub for damage before you try and fit the new ones, because that damage could cause problems that migrate across into the lifespan of the next bearings, which is what I think happened with these bearings. This has happened before. They just fitted them, they left a bit of side float, and that was the result. So always check them and always make sure that your spacer tube fits absolutely tight between the two bearings. Even if there's a bit of begrudging movement, that's fine, but just no side float whatsoever. So that's it for today. I learned something valuable and I hope you did too. So thanks for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. We'll see you next time.